Hi, this is Brennan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Adam Balderstone, and we are doing Return of Condor Heroes, episodes 9 through 10. In these episodes, we finally get to see what happens as Yanguo has his dealings with Hong Qigong and Ouyang Feng, who have a duel on the mountain, and at the end of it, he ends up mastering the dog-beating stick technique, and Ouyang Feng and Hong Qigong die after Ouyang Feng realizes who he is, and they embrace. And from there, Yanguo goes to the Lu family manor, where there's supposedly a heroes summit taking place, and he has a reunion with the Guo family, and the heroes summit becomes sort of the focus of the next two episodes, and it ends with a cliffhanger where we're about to get a sort of a battle to determine who the leader of the Wulin will be, and so before we get into the details, Adam, what did you think of the two episodes? Were they to your liking?
Oh, very much to my liking. Yeah, I'm really into the show at this point. It's interesting. Yang Gao going back, and we get we get to see Huang Rong and so on. And I thought the version of Huang Rong in this was very good. She
was this
she has that
have we
good
seen her yet?
perceptive quality.
Have we seen her yet in this series? Or is this
Oh,
the
actually,
first?
that's the next episode. Well, no, I don't think we have seen her in this season. We've seen Guo Jing, but Huang
Okay,
Rong has. Or I might have missed her. Maybe she was in there, and I'm confused. But do you think she was?
Oh no, what I was saying, I mean, that was Huang Rong, but what I was saying is this the first introduction we have of her in these two episodes, or did she appear earlier?
I believe this is the first appearance of her. I haven't noticed her before. I mean,
Okay.
Guo Jing, we just had him taking Yang Guo to the monks at the beginning, and that's all we really saw of him. So
Yeah, I like her as Huang Rong. I don't know if I'm biased because I think this is the first version of her I saw,
hmm.
and so because I don't know what the general consensus is on her performance, but I thought she was good, and I also thought they did a good job of getting like the of casting the daughter and the other daughter
Yeah.
who you haven't seen yet, because they all kind of look like they come from the same family. So I thought that was just good casting. But yeah, and it's interesting to see her older now, and I guess we can get into this now, and then we'll sort of dive into the discussion of the show. But I find it interesting because Huang Rong he also calls Gugu.
Yeah, I
And
know.
and
I know.
so there's like a little bit of a mirror there with that character, and I think there'll be a lot of topic for discussion as more information sort of is revealed over the course of the episodes. But yeah, so we have the mountaintop battle between Ouyang Feng and Hong Qigong, the 3-day battle, and then they end up using Yanguo as a conduit for their abilities.
Yeah.
And they transmit their kung fu to him very, very cinematically. It's sort of he almost downloads the kung fu to him.
Yeah, exactly.
And he taught him the technique, but not the principle. Is that what
That's the
happened?
impression I got, which is why he kind of eavesdrops later in the episode on Huang Rong, so he can get the principles underneath the technique.
Yeah, because that is a key point in the book, and I was trying to remember how it played out, and I couldn't remember 100%, but I think that this is following the book in that respect.
Yeah.
Um,
And the way
and
they have Huang Rong, they're like, oh, well, nobody can do anything with these if they don't know the techniques. It's not a problem.
yeah.
It was kind of underlining that fact. It's like, oh, he knows the techniques.
And then, and so then Hong Qigong and Ouyang Feng embrace, and Ouyang Feng remembers who he is, and they
Yeah.
both sort of die joyously holding each other. There's something a little bit creepy about the death scene, I think.
It was creepy and nice at the same time,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, it is eerie. It's like, you're not sure if they're dead at first. It's, oh, okay, they died in that weird standing up way people do in this genre sometimes. But
And it's kind of
but,
it's kind of a sad moment for Yango, obviously, because
oh,
Yang
of
Feng is
course.
he sort of views him as a father figure, And yeah, so he ends up walking down the mountain and he finds a man beating a horse, and he takes pity on the horse and he beats the man up and he takes the horse for himself. And I don't know. I mean, it's a fairly minor thing, but important. And this horse.
I really enjoyed that whole thing. I mean, it's just this the relationship he has with the horse. Just they did a good job with it. It was engaging to me. I mean, it's like it's a very predictable story of he's the one person that's nice to the horse. The horse likes it, but it was done really well, and I was enjoying it.
No, it's good, and it becomes important. I don't know if they do it in the show, but that horse is significant. And then we get a brief glimpse of Xiao Long Nu again, and she hears somebody calling for his gugu, and you can tell that she's remembering Yango. But then she overhears that there's a heroes summit occurring at the Liu family manor, so we know that she might possibly be heading there. And then we don't see her for the rest of the episode or the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah, she's waiting in the wings to surprise us at this point.
And Yangua and his horse also overhear word of this summit at Liu Family Manor, and he hears that they're going to be discussing what to do about the Mongol invasion, and so he dirties himself up and he goes and and number one, he passes by the Chuanzhen priests who were talking about, what do we say to Guo Jing? We told him we were going to teach this kid kung fu, and they haven't he's been living with Xiao Long Nu now for a while, so they've kind of just
sorry we lost your adopted son.
Yeah, and so but then Guo Jing spots him despite his dirt and despite the aging. He sees him in the crowd. And he goes up and he enthusiastically embraces him, and Yangua is a little bit I don't know, he kind of gives him the cold shoulder and he tries to brush it off as, well, I'm dirty, I don't want to get you dirty, but it's clear that he's still got some negative feelings over what's happened.
I talked about Huang Rong, but I really like Guo Jing in this too, and that he's just such a simple, direct person. They really capture that about the character. It's like there's all these things going on around him in depths and complexity, and I mean he isn't entirely aware of them, but he's very likable and just I thought that was a great version of him.
Yeah, the complexity completely bypasses him. He just has no awareness of it. And sometimes that works against him because he can be turned in directions that he wouldn't want to be turned if he knew exactly what was going on. But he's just but he's innocent. He's still got this innocence in the way that he sees the world. And obviously Yangua is a lot more like Huang Rong. He's much more intelligent, and he can be devious at times, and it's a question of whether that deviousness gets turned towards good or bad.
Huang Rong directly brings that up. She talks about, I was weird when I was young, so I understand.
And it is funny because you do sort of have to take in the fact that she is different now. Like, she's still Huang Rong. Like, she still has a lot of those core traits, but she's not as she seems she's because of her relationship with Guo Jing. She is going in a certain direction. If she had met somebody else, you could see her going in a in a darker direction.
They're a great couple. They really need each other.
but a key scene that occurs is there's a meeting between Guo Jing, the Taoists, and Yangua, and a lot of stuff gets unearthed in this meeting. There's a lot to go over. We'll probably have to simplify it here, but Yangua explains, he just has been mistreated all these years, and the Taoists, do not accept this at all. And then he accuses them of killing Granny Sun, which they can't deny. Hao Detong, has blood on his hands, and so Hao Detong does the thing that people often do in these situations, where he sort of hands Yangor the sword and says, "Well, go ahead and get your revenge now. I will. I'm a good person." And Yangor sees right through this trick, and says, "You
Yeah.
know that they're not going to let me do this. So why don't you give me that sword when there's nobody around?" And this humiliates him in front of everybody. I really like that scene. I thought that was the ultimate slap in this kind of setting.
Yeah, I like. One thing I liked about this scene is, Gojing, like you said, he's being very smart about a lot of things, but at the same time, it's all based in kind of like a somewhat childlike need to, get get I don't know, revenge is the right term, but it's all built in his childhood kind of pain and stuff, and it's like because we've kind of seen him mature over the course of the show, but it's like now he's gone home again, and it's like all his childlike pain is the most
Yeah.
important thing to him now, and that just felt real to me. It's like, yep, okay, now he's back with mom and dad, and he wants to make mom and dad feel bad because of all the horrible things that have happened to him in his life, and it was just really well done. And Huang Rong is just kind of keyed in. She knows exactly what's going on
Yeah,
here.
yeah, because he's pretending that he doesn't know kung fu because he's like, oh, I'm not, they never taught me anything, and he doesn't really want to talk about Zhao Long Nu, and so and he denies that he's been learning unorthodox kung fu from a woman, and I think in the book this is a lot more extensive, unless they cover it in the next episode after the cliffhanger. But there's a whole thing involving the Yideng finger and all this stuff with the Wu brothers that I think they skip over in the show.
Okay.
But it's a real, like, people are trying to sort of test Yangua's kung fu and get him to sort of reveal that he knows how to fight. And in this one, there's like a little battle between him and one of the Taoists, and then he just kind of flails around and pretends he doesn't know anything. But Huang Rong, you sense, is aware that he knows kung fu because she knows he knows Toad style, and so. But yeah, so that's the end of that episode, and then in the next episode, the next morning, Guafu brings him clothes, and she's a lot more warm to him in this episode than he was before. And that contrast isn't immediately apparent because they skipped over the Peach Blossom Island stuff and their earlier dealings. But this is a pretty important scene. I think it's actually more obvious in this version in the show than in the book, though it is sort of hinted at. But I could be mistaken on that. But she's clearly, I don't know. Would you say that she is clearly becoming infatuated with Yangua?
I very clearly got that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. In the book, it feels a lot more sublimated to me. But I think they sort of bring it more to the surface here. Again, I could be mistaken because I might have just missed some key details. But
yeah, it'd be translation thing too, so
yeah.
it's tough to say.
But Huang Rong and Guo Jing talk about Yangua, and Huang Rong expresses her belief that she thinks he's hiding something, and Guo Jing is more focused on his regret at sending Yangua to Zhongyang Palace, and she admits that she says he has an air of evil too strong and too much like his father. And she admits that she didn't teach him kung fu because she was worried about that. So instead, she kind of taught him theory and how to read and write and moral instruction. But she agrees to sort of do what Guo Jing wants to do, and his concern is that they haven't transmitted martial arts to him, and that his parents will, they're not honoring his parents sufficiently. He was sworn brothers with Yang Kong, even though Yang Kong went down a really evil path, and they were on very friendly terms with his mother. So then we get to another scene, which is outside by a river where Huang Rong is teaching Elder Lu dog beating stick technique, so he can become the next that was a 20th chief of Beggar Clan, because she needs to step down for some reason, which by the end of the episode we find out is because she's pregnant, and so she really can't. And also in the book you learn there's like there are just too many duties that the beggar chief has to handle, and she hasn't really been managing them. She's pretty much been Elder Lu's been handling all this stuff anyways, so they're really just kind of making it official. But Elder Lu clearly, he's not the brightest bulb in the patch, but he's righteous, and he's not terrible, but he's just kind of old and not you know, it seems a little questionable handing the leadership position to Elder Lu, given his skill set in comparison to Huang Rong. But as she's training him, and she's teaching him the principles, the children, not the children, but the young people, Guo Fu and the Wu brothers and Yang Guo, are spying on them. And so this is what we were talking about earlier. Yang Guo gets the principles, and he knows the techniques also, but nobody realizes that he can possibly put these together. And Huang Rong notices that they're spying, and so she speaks pretty frankly to Yang Guo, and has a private conversation with him. What did you think of the conversation she has? Because she sort of lays everything out. She explains to him why she.
I really liked it because not having seen the earlier stuff and only having heard the earlier Peach Blossom Island stuff and so on, it's like, I was wondering if Huang Rong would just be this hostile character to him when he got there, and I was like, well, that wouldn't be as interesting, and I wouldn't want Huang Rong to be put in the position of being kind of a villainous kind of character, and because I didn't know how it was all going to work out, and I'm like, I'm that's one reason I'm really enjoying this character. I mean, she's wary of him, but she's smart and she's trying to work with him, and it was a very complex conversation, and they both had intelligent things to say. And I'm like, oh, this is great. This is. I mean, it's like, obviously it's, there's still problems that can arise, but it felt very human to me.
Yeah, I think they do a very good job overall over the course of the whole story between them. You're always sort of wanting them to get to point A, and they have a lot of difficulty getting there. But they're both they're both being sort of sincere. Now, something will occur that will really sort of throw a wrench in things, but we'll get to that.
I
later.
figured.
Yeah,
I figured.
But
the whole way the scene ends, it's like, oh, I've got to tell you this. Oh no, it can wait a few days. I'm like, anytime everyone's like that, telling me that can wait a few days is just that you know what's going to happen.
And also he heals her with his internal energy during this scene. She sort of passes out, and it's because she's pregnant and there's something going on, and so he uses a palm technique to transmit his energy to her, and she and so number one, from that she learns that he's developed good internal skills somehow, and that's what you were talking about. He promises to tell her in a few days, and the details, and you'll see what happens. There's I think they handle all this stuff very well. There's a lot of stuff that has to sort of be dealt with based on what's going on in the history,
sure.
And they deal with it. And so then we also have Guo Jing and Huang Rong.
Well, before we move on, though, I just have to, this kind of a staging comment that just made me laugh is like her spotting them when they're spying on them, and it's like the way they're arranged. They're sitting like openly in this tree, like right next to her. It was just like it was a kind of a non-deliberate thing that kind of made me laugh. I just kind of had to comment on that.
Yeah, I think you'll find too that there's a lot of things that are sort of presented for the viewers' convenience, almost like a stage show in these
exactly.
And so you just sort of learn to accept it. You saw that.
Oh, I was fine with it. It was just funny. That's all. I just had to comment.
And so I guess we'll get to the Heroes Summit. There's some other stuff that happens, but it's not. One thing is we learn for sure Huang Rong is pregnant. Though again, it's stated very indirectly, and we learn about the history of the Wu brothers and their father, who was whose wife died sucking the poison from him, and and how he's one of Reverend Yidang's followers. But at they pass the dog beating stick to Elder Lu, and he becomes the 20th beggar chief. And then they Elder Lu says they need to appoint a leader of the Wu Lin, or not Elder Lu, Master Lu of Lu Manor, I think, is the one who says this. That they need to appoint a leader of the Wu Lin, and he sort of throws the ball into Guo Jing's court, and Guo Jing says, "Hey, why don't we give it to Hong Qigong, because he doesn't know that he's dead?" And everybody agrees to this, And that's when the Taoists arrive, and they warn that Prince Huodu, the guy that showed up and was trying to marry Zhao Long Nu at the very start of the series, is going to arrive any moment to stir up trouble. And
Uh,
so he does. So as soon as that happens, he shows up, and he says, my master is actually coming here. And he's a really important person, a great master from Tibet. So and with much fanfare, we're introduced to a character named Reverend Jin Loon. Have you seen him before in the show, or is this the first time he's been
I
introduced?
believe that's the first time we've seen him. Yeah.
And so he arrives, and he's a really terrifying character when he shows up. Like, this guy, you can tell, is a great master, and he's somebody who just kind of is, he's clearly here for nefarious purposes. And basically what they want to do is they want to win the title of leader of the Wulin for themselves. That's sort of the plot point that we're ending on the cliffhanger with. And
Yeah.
so by the end of the episode, they're sort of trying to determine who will be in the fight. And Huang Rong initially suggests that Guo Jing is going to fight Reverend Jin Loon, and Huadu says, well, yeah, but Guo Jing's kung fu is a combination of many styles, so because the whole thing is Hong Qigong is the leader that they want to appoint, and he's not here to defend the title himself, so they need one of his students to do so. And Huadu is like, well, his style is a combination of multiple styles. He's not really a true student of Hong Qigong, so we're going to need to pick somebody else. And,
Yeah.
and basically you think he's angling for Elder Lu, who he probably isn't going to be able to beat Reverend Jin Loon. And that's sort of where the thing ends. We get sort of a cliffhanger where they're about to get the battle. And so I don't know. I want to talk about Reverend Jin Loon. You don't really know much about him yet, but what's your first impression?
It's he's a very, very dramatic kind of character there. Yeah, I mean, there isn't a lot of depth to him now, but he's ominous. He makes a good entry, definitely. It's like, ooh, it feels like, definitely another big villain has entered the stage here in this show.
Yeah, because all we know about him is he's so cultivated that he's got some kind of sunken dip in his
Yeah.
forehead that signifies his level of power. And they're in the novel, they're very specific about his ability. Like they talk about which levels he's got. Like, they speak in terms of levels in the books. And I don't think, I think a little after this point we know that he attains like the 10th level of mastery of his of his kung fu. But a couple of interesting points about this guy. In the version I first saw this, which was my introduction to the character, the subtitles called him Reverend Jin, and instead of Jin Loon, and that always sort of I always sort of, it sort of had the ring of Reverend Jim to me. So
Okay.
so for ages I just sort of I don't know why I would associate those two things in my head. And his character is nothing like Reverend Jim. There's no
No,
there's
I'm not getting any sense of that at all.
He's a
But yeah, he feels very threatening. I mean, even because it's not, Huang Rong and Guo Jing are pretty impressive characters, but you're still, I mean, well, obviously there's reasons why it would be a bad idea for Huang Rong to fight at the moment, but even Guo Jing, you're like, ooh, can Guo Jing take him? I'm not sure. It's just, which is it's a good thing for them to pull off. But yeah, I mentioned you before the show. It's like I was like, man, I wish we were doing one more episode because it's such a cliffhanger that it was hard for me to stop last night.
I can assure you that this battle is something that we want to devote a whole episode to.
Okay,
it is a
that's
long
great.
battle. I don't remember how many. I don't know if it's more than one episode that they actually cover it. In the book, it's really long. It's a very. I think it takes 2 chapters, the whole battle.
Wow.
It's yeah. So one thing to understand about Return of Condor Heroes in the books, battles can occur over the course of a whole chapter. You can spend a whole chapter reading about a battle, but it's entertaining because it's not like it's just him sort of describing physically what the people are doing. People are feeling things, they're saying things, there's interactions occurring, and there's actual drama playing out over the course of the battle, and you get plenty of that. Once we get past this cliffhanger. But I guess to sort of focus on the things we did encounter, something we haven't talked about, the Wu brothers. I think this is the first time we meet them. They're very important.
Well, no, we did see him before. We had the encounter where they ran it, where Guojing had the mask on, and he kind of slunk off when he saw them.
So we got the backstory now. We know the Wu brothers beat the crap out of Yangoa, and Guofu was egging them on.
We actually saw the backstory too last time too. We had that exact same flashback.
Oh, did they do the same? Okay,
episode.
So they just emphasized it for, I guess, so that you remember. But what, I don't know. What do you think of the Wu brothers? Like, what are you getting from them at this point?
Well, obviously, they're kind of tag-alongs, both going after Guojing and Huangrong's daughter. What's her name? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name.
Guofu is her name. The daughter.
Guofu, yes, that's right, Guofu. Yeah, they kind of come off as being her lackeys, and I mean. One thing I'd like clarification on, or not from you, but just from like the show, is that maybe watching it again, I would get a better sense of it. But the whole thing of which one should she pick, and and it's like at the moment they're a single unit in my brain. When the conversation about this one has these virtues, this one has these virtues, and it's like up till now I've just kind of been seeing them as this single unit that's kind of chasing her around.
I mean, they are distinct, but they're very difficult to sort of separate into individual characters because you do tend to group them together as one.
Yeah.
And they sort of serve that function because their story is very linked, and so I mean, they're clearly they state there are individual reasons for why she's torn between them both, but ultimately all that really matters is there's these two brothers that are always together, always fighting for her affection. And they're all whenever there's a plot development involving the Wu brothers, it always seems to be the two of them together. I don't recall too many moments where you're really focusing on one versus the other.
Brothers. Yeah,
I mean, they do go down individual paths. Like we do sort of know where their lives go, but I tend to think of them as it's sort of like when they introduce a trio in these there's a lot of ensemble groups in wuxia where you kind of deal with them as a group. And it doesn't, and that's sort of it's sort of like characters will show up and they show up kind of like the way the Rolling Stones might show up, it's that sort of thing. And like over time you might become familiar with them enough that you'll recognize Mick Jagger versus Keith Richards. But the important thing is that this is sort of
it's like when the Harlem Globetrotters show up on Scooby-Doo. It's the Harlem Globetrotters. Yeah. It doesn't matter individually.
Yeah, there's a lot of ensembles. But the key thing to keep in mind is the Wu brothers and their father, Wu Santong. Those are the, that becomes important, and that's why they mention the father. And also their jealousy, over what seems to be Fu's growing affection for Yangoa is going to become important.
No, that was definitely seemed to be something that would be important in the future.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. What was your question?
I was just going to say, what's your impression of Guofu at this point?
I mean, obviously she does come off as kind of, kind of got a spoiled teenager kind of vibe to her, definitely. But she's an intriguing character. I mean, you can see greater depth evolving in the character over time, and I'm curious to see what direction she goes.
She definitely goes in a very concrete direction. I will say that, and it's very interesting to sort of see the way that. I mean, like you sort of keyed on the big thing about her, which is she's spoiled, and what we do find out it's not going to be a big surprise is that she was sort of spoiled by Huangrong a bit, and Guojing was trying to be a bit more stern with her, and he just sort of caved to Huangrong's sort of methods, and they have to deal with the results. And it's interesting to see sort of the great heroic couple from the previous book not really giving birth to the next big protagonist. Do you know what I mean? The product of their love becomes a bit of a thorn in the side of the protagonist of this novel, and so I find that interesting. I think it's I think that it's kind of neat that, you know, as great and righteous as Guo Jing is, and as powerful as they are as a couple, they still sort of succumb to some of the problems that everybody else in the setting can succumb to, and
Yeah. Well, the problem with being super successful is your kid becomes the equivalent of a rich kid. You know,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. So it's but no, she is like I said, I have enough faith in the story being told that it's like, yeah, I mean, superficially, she isn't that intriguing a character yet, but I'm like, I know the story's going to go somewhere interesting, so I'm already interested, even though we haven't got a sense of which direction it's going to go.
yeah. I think that, I mean, she's an important character. She has a very important arc in the story. I can't say that you'll be in love with her as a character. She's gonna, you know, her and the Wu brothers will
Yeah.
certainly aggravate you at times, but it's
I
important
I
to be
don't
aware.
demand that I love characters, merely that they be interesting. That's all I want.
Um, and yeah, so I think that sort of covers all of the basic elements of these couple of episodes. I don't know if I missed anything. We could certainly cover stuff if we have.
Oh,
Did we get any fights really, or was this kind of a chill set of episodes with? I don't think
I
there was much fighting.
can't think of a fight. We had a horse race. That was it.
Oh yeah, the horse race
The
where the Wu
conclusion of that
brothers.
horse race was yeah, where they got stuck cleaning all the horses.
And
But
and also that was
nah,
a moment where Guofu was clearly impressed with Yangor when
it
he yeah.
was. But
Um,
it was her interesting discussion with the Wu brothers during the race too. Are we being too mean? Should we set up? Oh, we're going to look like we're bullying him.
yeah.
That was a nice bit of character for her actually. That was good. She was like she's kind of set up this trick, and he's like, oh, we're going to beat him. We're going to look like jerks. It gave her a little humanity there.
Well, what I like too about this story, and like all these stories, is a lot of sort of what propels the drama is the thing. Like he really keys in on what the heart's desire is of his characters, and it's sometimes sort of it's sort of like really in your face as a reader, but it really works because you sort of have these, these complex relationships that develop over the course of the story. um,
Uh-huh.
and so yeah, it's very, I would say, melodramatic at times, but effective.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. Yeah, there's so much melodrama going on, but because the characters are grounded enough in themselves that the melodrama just works. It's just a vehicle to get the characters in interesting places.
well, like you have the moment where Yango is crying in front of Huang Rong when she is talking to him about all this stuff and explaining that, I didn't trust you because I didn't like your dad, and all the,
Yeah.
but from now on I'll treat you good. It was it's an interesting moment. And like you said, it's pretty melodramatic, but it works. Um,
hmm
and so yeah, so I don't know. I guess we'll, unless there's anything you want to add, we can end it here.
Yeah, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up. I'm looking forward to the next one, definitely.
And yeah, and so we'll do either 2 or 3 episodes next time. It depends on, basically it's about how much time I have doing the notes, because I have to type my notes as I'm watching, and I find it slows me down. Um, but we'll try to get to 3 if we can. And usually we do it on Wednesdays. I don't know what this week entails because every week's a little different. But hopefully we'll be back on Wednesday. And on Friday we're going to be on with Hero, and we're going to be talking about Hero, followed by House of Flying Daggers, followed by Curse of the Golden Flower. So it should be an interesting sequence of episodes. And
Cool.
on top of that, I have a new Wuxia workshop up, which you should check out, and I have a late night movie review I did of The Phantom Killer, courtesy of Dion. She encouraged me to watch this movie, so I got a copy and watched it. And we also have a very important announcement on the blog, which I want people to check out because it involves some of the mechanics of the game, and I think people should be up to date on all that stuff. So anyways, we will head out, and we will talk to you later.